rolling up, Uber black Cadillac, high heel boots and a sexy body full of tats. Baby's bad, oh baby's hella bad. After her there ain't no coming back. Wanna take a run at that. I think she's feeling me, turn it up a few degrees. My imagination of her body gets the best of me. Oh gosh, she's such a tease, bitten lips, bruised knees. I'm addicted to her, need her touching me. Cause she got a bad little waist, and we tearing down this place. Off the liquor that we chase, got some egos to the face. Baby, I don't need no space, coming closer for a taste. And I'll show you how I make everything just fade away. Cause she's like sex, drugs, cocaine, body so insane. Jealous of the clothing that she wears up on that tight frame. All game, no shame.
What is going on, everybody? Happy Wednesday. Welcome back to the live stream. It is good to be with you guys. And I am very, very humbled and happy to have Dustin from the 5 Dirty Bikers with us. How are you, sir?
Good, Brian. Thank you for inviting me, dude. This is awesome.
I'm glad. There's a lot of good things we have to talk about. So what's new? What's happening?
Wow, just been busy guy. New jobs got me busy all the time in a good way. So that, of course, fills up most of my week. And then when I'm not doing that, it's family.
Yeah, that's
or riding, of course, you know.
Well, yeah, that's
got to stick some of that in there.
We'll get to your new job soon. That's exciting stuff for sure. Mm-hmm. So for the folks that don't know you, tell us, sell us the pen. You're a sales guy. Come on, sell us the pen.
Well, my name's Dustin. I'm from a small, sleepy town in Illinois.
You take long walks on the beach?
No, we don't have a beach. Well, we do have some sand out by the lake, but it's only about 20 feet long. So I don't drive out there for that.
Small walks by the beach.
Anyway, I haven't been riding too long. Got about 6 years under my belt. Bought a Sportster back in, I believe, 17. Rode it for about a year. Traded that in on a Sport Glide in 18, and been loving it ever since. Nice. Riding's been something that I never thought I'd do. I had have family that rides, so I just maybe thought one day, hey, maybe I'll get that bug, and it happened.
Nice. So what finally pushed you over the edge? Was there something that pushed you over the edge, or?
Yeah, my friend called alcohol.
Is that why they have beer and dealerships? They're just like, here, drink this. You want to make a stupid purchase?
Yeah, we'll help you make good decisions.
85% interest over 90 years. You're good. It's fine. It's all
Look
fine.
at these low payments I got. God, it's such a deal. No, it all started at a local tavern here. Me and a buddy of mine were sitting there having drinks, and I don't know if a rider came in or we just heard bikes going by, which we do all the time because we live right on Route 66, so it's like a bike, it's a biker road. But I don't know if that's what we heard or that's what we saw. And my buddy says, you know what, we should ride bikes. And I'm like, I'm probably 6 beers deep at this point, so almost everything's a yes. But it hung the next day, and immediately I started doing research on motorcycles and manufacturers, what they offer, price points, all that stuff, and then finally landed on that Sporty.
Nice.
Yeah.
So how long did you? So what was that? Now, did you take the motorcycle safety class? Did you just get out and ride? What was your path to that?
Well, let's start with this. I'm doing everything backwards in life as far as bikes goes because I didn't ride when I was younger, and then give it up, and then ride again when I'm, in my 40s now. But it was more like it just happened at 34, 35. The idea sparked, and then, a year later I was taking the MSF course, and people may have thought I was crazy because I had a son that just turned 1, and then I had another son that was 3, and they're like, you got little ones. What are you doing? But I just assured everybody, I'm going to do this right. I'm mature now. I'm not going to, ride like a hooligan or anything like that. And I'm going to be safe and, just to have a hobby, something to have a good time with.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's a big step for sure. So what, so you got the Sportster. How long did you have that before you stepped into something bigger?
It was about a year and a half. I put about 7,000 miles on it, I think, in a year and a half. And not bad for, a beginner to put that many miles on. But I know a lot of people do more, and that's awesome. But no, it was a lot of fun. Every time I could commute to work, I commuted, even if it was like 30-something degrees. And sometimes that felt like a mistake because even though my commute's only 10 minutes, we're out here in the cornfields. and there ain't nothing blocking that wind, especially in the winter, So 32 degrees and just an armored hoodie wasn't a good decision
No,
a couple
I
of days,
don't think
but
so. I always think those are the best days to ride because you pull up to people in a car and they're looking at you like, what in the absolute fuck are you thinking?
I win.
I wasn't thinking, man. I'm just riding. It's just fun. So you have the Sport Glide now, right?
Yep, I've had it since I got a model year release, 18, and I love that bike, dude. I want it to be my forever bike if it'll last me.
That would be cool.
Yeah.
What is that? Is that the 107?
Yeah, they came with a 107. Wish they would have put a 114 in it, but I mean, I've staged mine.
Okay.
I got the pipes and the intake on it and the tune. Even if I never go stage 2, I'm happy with what I get with a stage 1.
Yeah, that's where I was. I mean, the Ultron had stage 1, and I don't know. It's cool, but I don't know. I'd spend the money for it unless you buy it with it. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say no to a stage 2. I mean, it's not going to be in the books for this year. I just wanted to get out and ride as much as I could this year because with the new job, of course, I've got a longer commute. So it's like 70 miles round trip, and it's some nice country back roads. So I knew I was going to be putting a lot more miles on there, but we got some trips and stuff in mind this year, and of course a couple events and stuff like that. And so it's going to be an exciting year for riding this summer.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So you brought it up. Let's hear about the new gig. I hear you're doing something kind of schwanky.
Yeah.
Everybody's dream.
Can't say it's not awesome. So back in January, I started working at my favorite local dealership. It's where I bought my Sport Glide. It's Ted's Motorcycle World, also called Ted's Harley Davidson. But I've been a customer of theirs for the last 5-6 years, and they've always treated me well when I come in. Even when I had my accident a couple years ago, they got my bike back up when I thought it was going to be totaled.
That's awesome.
So forever appreciative to this place, even for just that. But I got approached by the GM there, Kyle, and this was like back in October, maybe even earlier than that. And he asked me, he's like, would you want to come work for us? Doing marketing stuff, photography and all that. I was like, well, quick yes, hell yes, fuck yes. Sorry, bro. Sorry,
no,
bro.
Go ahead.
Demonetized.
We're past the 5 seconds. You can say fuck all you want.
Oh, you get that many? Okay.
Yeah, I think you only get like 5 seconds. You have to be behaved, and then you can just.
We can't do it on the show without somebody saying something obscene. Just never happens. Anyway, so we we're having back and forth on text message and all that, and I even went in to talk to him. I think once before we finally came to an agreement on something, but I was excited just to be asked to do this for a dealership because to work for Harley Davidson was like a dream job for me. It was either work for a hockey organization or work for HD or a dealership in some way. And it took a couple months and some negotiation, but hell yeah, I said yes. We made something work for both of us, and I've been loving it since day one. It doesn't even feel like work, but it's busy, but it's very rewarding and very fun.
Oh, it has to be.
Oh, it is, dude. You get to ride everything. Well, I get to ride everything that comes in because I photograph everything, I video everything. So getting to do that, before the bikes hit the showroom it's special to me. I think it's awesome. You get the first sneak peek at brand new motorcycles. What's better than that?
No, absolutely. Plus, too, I mean, especially if you have a dealership. I mean, my dealership's they got bought out. It doesn't have the same vibe anymore. It's a shame. I mean, at least you have a decent dealership. That's awesome. That's got to be a great experience to come into work like that, especially with your photography and video skills. I mean, that's hella cool.
It's great to put, everything I've learned the last 22, 23 years of experience and graphics and all this stuff, and getting to know lighting and photography a little bit, and all my video work from college and high school, got to translate that over and still use it to this day, which is great. But the staff there's amazing. They're very welcoming. They're always helpful. They're awesome people. Everybody's nice. We'll drop what they're doing to come help you if you ask them. And can't say I haven't done that a time or two, but I'm really, really enjoying my time there. I hope it's the last job I ever have.
See, now that's a solid. It's amazing that you change jobs, how much your outlook can change on things. Especially you get reinvigorated, which is huge.
Yeah, the place I worked before, they treated me very well. They're a good company. I got to work with my best friend. My boss was awesome. Very helpful teammates and everything. But I think it was just what I was working on wasn't keeping me interested.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it did at first for a while because it was something new for me. But as time went on, I was just like, okay, it'd be nice if something new came along. And I was at that company almost 10 years.
That's
awesome. Getting ready to earn another week of vacation, which I really could have used this year for things we'll talk about later. But man, I think it was the right thing happened at the right time, and I couldn't be happier with how everything's gone with motorcycling and took me to this. It's been a story.
I think that's awesome. I mean, and you and I have talked about even before the show. I was doing the same thing. I was doing something that I liked, but it wasn't to the level I wanted it. And it's kind of weird because you get excited, and then at the same point, it's just not what you want to do. Because this seems like the perfect. I don't mean storm in a bad way, but this is the perfect thing for you, right? It's all the things that you love.
Yeah, motorcycles, photography, video editing, graphics. I mean, that's the stuff I was meant to do, and getting to do that every 5 days a week.
That's awesome.
Plus, if we have event, it's amazing. Like we said, or like I was talking about earlier, it doesn't even feel like work sometimes. I'm having so much fun doing it. And like even my GM saw me today. I was walking back from the photography room. I had a grin on my face because I got to take pictures of the Fast Johnny today and the Highway King. And we got a new CVO Road Glide Limited in, the 120th anniversary edition too. And I'm thinking to myself in the middle of doing all this, I'm like, I'm taking pictures of some cool shit today.
That's really cool.
Yeah. Have you gotten to see a Fast Johnny or a Highway King yet?
No, and you had mentioned it. Well, obviously we'll get into the show, but those Cobra stripes are badass on the Road Glide. That's a beautiful bike. But
that's the one we got was the Road Glide ST. Yeah,
I saw that picture that you did. It's phenomenal.
Oh man. No, I'm a sucker for blue. You probably know that. So anything blue that comes in, I always give it a hard look. And I always admired the old muscle cars from the 60s and 70s. So it was like, wow, this would be nice if I had 30 grand plus.
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you what though, that magenta and white, was it the Highway King they're calling it? That's a beautiful looking bike. I mean,
the Hi-Fi Red and Hi-Fi Oranges, I think, is what they officially called them. And we haven't gotten the red, but we did get the orange.
Okay,
and it's amazing looking.
Yeah,
they only made 1,000 of the orange and 750 of the red, so the red are even rarer.
Yeah, it's interesting that they're taking that approach too, right? They're definitely going somewhere different for sure. And we were talking before that the new CVO looks amazing. If that trickles down, they got something for sure.
Yep,
like they were doing. So I hear you're involved in a podcast. Is that right?
Yeah,
you might be
something like that.
Tell us about that.
Yeah. So if you guys don't know, it's Five Dirty Bikers. We've been around since the late summer of 19.
Wow, it's been that long.
Yeah. Our first event was like a week or two after our first release, and we had recorded a couple of shows before that, but they were fucking awful, so we didn't put them out. I mean, audio was bad, everything sounded like ass, so we were like, let's maybe get a little better at this before we want to release something out. So I'm not gonna throw shit to the wall and see what sticks. So we're gonna shit hard when we come in.
I mean, just in your flow and the quality has been dramatic. I mean, you guys have put a lot of work into what you're doing.
Yeah, we've had some lineup changes. I mean, every lineup we've had has been, fun people to talk with once a week.
Mm-hmm.
It's like talking to your friends every week. We're kind of at that stage of it now where, we're all friends. We've all hung out even though we do this remotely. But it's a fun time, man. It's one of the things I look forward to most of the week, and kind of makes Mondays, fun again.
Sure. because you can't say that often. Huh?
No.
So what started that? So what got you guys started on the podcast?
So there were,
guys, if I remember correctly, you never met each other before then, right?
No. We all met each other through YouTube. We all had Sporties, so we were following each other's channels to see what we were doing with them, and then just kind of got into each other's channels. And before you know it, we all end up in a phone messaging chat, and some pretty strong jokes were going on in there. So we thought, hey, we should podcast this. And we're kind of like, okay, well, we'll give it a shot. Probably won't work too well with 5 people. But I mean, here we are, 2023, and we just released 185 episodes.
That's fantastic.
And it's been a fun ride.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
I think it's cool too, because it's not, you did it organically, right? You weren't trying to, you didn't have a big, well, at least I don't think you did, right? You didn't have a big mission statement. That's what you wanted ultimately.
No, I mean, we still don't have a mission statement, except maybe fuck off. I don't. That's Kid Moto's mantra.
Yeah, he's an angry man. We need to send him to therapy.
You need to send him a Honda.
Only if it's a Grom or one of those little trails. I think that I'd pay money to see that.
I think he would actually ride a Grom.
I could see it.
I know he could walk right over one and not touch his pant leg. Dude's tall.
Yes, he is. So that's really cool that you guys did that. And so, I mean, just at a high level, talk to people about what the podcast is and what does it offer the listener?
Well, it's motorcycle centric. We try to make this kind of like 5 friends talking at a table in a bar. It's very uncensored. It's very, I mean, we're not out to offend anybody, but we just make dirty jokes and we talk about motorcycles, what we're doing, and all things bikes really. And then, of course we like to make fun of each other too. So that kind of makes it fun each week when you get to tell Dave about his coffee, or Ryan about Ryan.
I mean, is Dave really a dirty biker? I mean, he posts he's in France and he's using a ring.
Yeah, he texted us today. He was eating snails and he had a big old bottle of Merlot. I'm like, dude, not biker. Come on, you're wearing a scarf.
Yeah, he's probably got a beret on. He's hanging out with mimes.
No, Dave's been great to the show, and it's like I said, with every lineup, it's been a pleasure to work with and speak with each week. So he's part of what makes it fun every week. He's a different perspective. He's an older demographic, even though he won't admit to it. So it kind of gives us a good viewpoint, because we're kind of spread all across, from like mid-millennial all the way up to whatever Percy's age is.
Trike rider.
I was going to say Egyptian, like
Egyptian.
Yeah, right.
We're not saying Percy's old, but his memories may have been in black and white. So we don't want to judge. He's a hell of a nice guy.
Yeah, he is. Dave is a nice guy. Got to ride with. I've ridden with him a handful of times, and spending time on the road is when you really get to know people. I think Saddle Trap said that. Said there's 2 ways in which you really get to know somebody: is if you're living with them or if you're riding with them. Yeah.
I mean, it's amazing. It's amazing what this community has brought to the table for me, and then you look at something like that. It's amazing that you guys have that, because it's not easy to get that gel. It's not easy for, to have that perfect dynamic that works. That's hard.
Yeah. I mean, we're not perfect. We just have fun doing this every week. And I mean, like I said, like all 5 people on, we've learned to gel. At first it was kind of a fucking mess, because audio problems, and then at first we weren't even able to see each other. We were like, we're not doing this with cameras on.
Jeez.
And I'm like, good God, how do you know when to talk?
Yeah, 5 people is a lot. I mean,
so then we eventually turned the video stuff on and made it a lot better, made the flow better, and then it just keeps getting, well, like I said, because we're not perfect. I mean, it keeps getting, the flow keeps getting good, and we're able to talk about a lot more now because we're gaining that experience, and then I get to bring stuff from work that that I can land out, but
yeah. And I think that's good. I mean, it's cool that you have you offer a different perspective too. And I think that's the cool thing about the 5 of you, right? You all have a different dynamic.
Yeah.
Because I think that age range is important too, because you guys don't all ride the same bike. It's not like you're sitting talking to a bunch of Dyna bros or Road Glide bros. Everybody's got a different perspective of where they come at it. I think that's important.
Yeah. I mean, Brittany's got a Sport Glide like me, but Tony's on a low rider, and Ryan and Percy are both on touring bikes. So, I mean, even with what we ride, we still have, material there to talk about, because everybody's customizing their bike, or, there's something a little bit different about each one that, you could share.
Well, and that's important too, right? Because I think that's the cool thing. That's why I wanted to do this. It's really cool to talk to somebody, because we all have that commonality of riding, but yet we're different beside that. I think that's really cool. Yeah. So what's your jam? What kind of riding do you like to do? What, you have a weekend. I mean, a dad with young kids that doesn't happen, but if you have the time, a weekend just to go ride, what would you do?
Well, I'm just going to say, like, my go-to is always Highway 11, which goes right up the Mississippi. The River Road is my jam. So if there's ever a long winter, a river road ride never hurts. It never sucks.
Okay.
It's awesome. It's awesome each and every time.
Very nice.
Yeah.
So where do you so you had your meetup in Tennessee, so that was a long ride, but what's your biggest ride to date, like touring wise?
Let's see. It wasn't Uranus. I just think it was out to Louisville.
Okay.
A few times. That's as far as I've been, really.
That's a decent ride. It's a beautiful area too.
Yeah, from my door to Tony's door, it's exactly 300 miles, and then I think I did like 800 in a weekend when I went there, but in a day and a half or 2 days it was, I think. But the riding out there is awesome. Bourbon Country is beautiful riding. It's very twisty, it's hilly, and very scenic. Some of the best riding I've done, honestly.
Yeah, I was out that way for work. It's when I got to meet up with Tony. It's a beautiful area. I just wish I would have had the bike. Like, I'm in a car. I'm like, this sucks. If I gotta ride.
Tony's not too far from Woodford and Makers and all those places. So he took me out there back in 20, and also Percy and Walter Volts. They both came, and the 4 of us rode that weekend.
Yeah, that's right. You guys did go down. Yeah.
Yeah. And Tony took us on some pretty cool routes. We did stop at a distillery, but it was during COVID. Everything was closed. So we couldn't go in the distillery. And it's a shame, too, because it's Castle and Key. Oh. And that place, it just looked like something right out of like Ireland or England, old England or something like that. It was a beautiful distillery. Oh, then we went by Woodford, and I'm hoping to catch a smell or something. But they were closed too. They had their gates shut tight. But there's always this year, because we're headed back there in September.
Very nice. Yeah, that was a weird time. That's when we did our trip. It was a really weird time to travel because everything was cheap. There was no traffic, but at the same time, nothing was open. So
I didn't see a cop all 300 miles.
Yeah,
I didn't. And it was 64 from. I think every bit of my ride was 64 besides 10 miles of it. Oh no. About 30 miles of it was 64. And I was just 80, 85 the whole way.
Yeah, it was a very interesting time to do. Oh, so Mike's got a question. What full exhaust system did you just do?
Mike, I got the Vance & Hines Big Shot Staggered in chrome. Yeah. That was my dream exhaust. Tony had him on his Slim back in 20, and I was like, man, that's a good sounding exhaust. And I think I just had a tab slip-on that I just recently switched out for the Vance & Hines, and I was like, one day I'm going to get me a pair of those. Nice. It took a couple of years, but yeah, I finally got them.
That's that's a full system. Is there a cat in there? Does a cat delete, I assume?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Nice.
It's got the crossover in it, so you still get that 2-in-1 power and the 2-in-2 sound, so it's perfect.
Yeah, I had a 2-in-1 on my new bike when I got it, and you forget how good it sounds. Like, you switch out to a full system with 2 pipes, it sounds so much better. The guy that tuned my bike's like, all right, so this is what a real Harley sounds like. And I was like,
Yeah.
Everybody's like, oh, 2-in-1, it's better performance. Dude, it's a touring bike. I'm not doing wheelies. Like, come on. It's...
I mean, there's a market for that, but
Oh yeah, it's just not my ass. just like, enjoying the ride kind of person.
Yeah, I mean, I'm the same way. If I could do a chill 60 and just have some good scenery, I'm good. I don't need to go out ride like a hooligan. I'm too old for that.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing too, right? And that's the funny thing I think too is that they're always pushing these big numbers. It's like, all right, but for the average person, I'm just riding, having fun.
So I'm good with my 85 horsepower.
Yeah, I mean, I'm commuting to work. I'm not doing wheelies or anything. It's pretty funny. Oh, duels rule. Yes, duels are where it's at. I don't care what anybody says. There he is. Very funny. So you did that. You've done some touring. So do you have? Oh no, you said it's your dream bike. So would you buy another bike, or would you sell? Well, you wouldn't sell it. Obviously, it's your dream bike. But would you?
Well, only if.
Okay.
I don't think I could be a 2-bike person.
Okay.
So if it was next bike time, I probably would part with the Sport Glide, but it'd have to be something really special. Because I've been eyeballing the Street Glides, pretty hard lately that come in. I kind of like those. I'm really anxious to see if that's like one of the next fads that takes off because everybody's heavy in Road Glide right now. And that's what, honestly, at the shop, that's what's selling the most too is used Road Glides. So it's definitely become a popular thing to do.
I was kind of bummed because it became the it bike to have, after like 7 years of wanting one, and I could finally afford one. I was like, no, it's not cool.
Yeah. So I've ridden the Road Glide, I've ridden the Street Glide. For me, the Street Glide just fits better.
Okay.
So it's like when I buy a bike, I want to look at it and feel it as if, what's the least amount of customization I need to do to this to get it the way I want it?
That's fair.
So, yeah, because my wallet's not that deep.
No, and that's where we went with the used one that we got because it had a lot on it. Because I was in my head, I was trying to figure out like what's that mod worth. I'm like, I'm not dumping that kind of money into a bike, at least not now. It's like I'll be fine, It's the upgrades is just a never ending deep hole, that's for sure.
I see Mike's comment there about the tab on our Sport Glide intake tuner already. But awesome. What? Let me ask Mike, what tuner did you get? FP3, Power Vision. I did FP3, and I've had it for forever. So that's what I just. But it totally woke the bike up because just having that muffler on it and then actually having a full set on there, I didn't think it was going to make that much of a difference, but it did. The bike just wants to go.
It's amazing too because everyone's talking about that the EPA is coming down so hard they're trying to get rid of the tuners and the pipes, so everybody's kind of jumping on it, which is I guess good and bad. You can't find stuff. It's a lot. Have I seen how much I've done? Yes, I get it. That wasn't where I was going with it though. Those are for YouTube reviews. I'm very happy to have companies help me out. But if I'm buying it myself, I don't know. Gets expensive quick. What's this? I write a donut tune license. Oh, very nice. Oh, a race tuner license. Damn. He's bringing.
Jesus.
Mike's going to be doing wheelies.
Well, I think it's good. I think it's for Firecracker.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but he's going to be doing wheelies on it.
Oh yeah, he's going to ride it.
I bought it for you, honey, and then he's out ripping it up. So let's talk about the subject at hand here. Talk about the autism build and what made you decide to do that. I think it's fantastic. If you guys haven't seen it, that is the thumbnail, and Dustin can go a lot deeper into it than I can.
Sure. Well, back in 21, 5 Dirty Bikers had their meetup in Louisville, and we invited Jared Weems from Weems Motor Company. If you guys know him or don't, he was actually out of Born Free in California at the time. He's like, it's on my route on the way back home. He lives in Florida, so he stopped by for a day, and he brought his 2 Triumphs. He brought Hollywood Run and the hot dog bike, the 56 Triumph, I think it is. He brought these bikes. We met him for the first time. Really, really awesome guy. If you've ever had the pleasure to meet the guy, he's fantastic. But he pulls these bikes out, and I'm giving him a hard look, man. and the attention to detail was just strikingly good. I'm like, this was done in a little garage in Florida. So this bike is awesome. And I didn't know which one I liked better, the hot dog bike or Hollywood Run. They were both great looking Triumphs. But anyway, we went to dinner later that night, and I don't know, I was a couple of beers deep at this point, and I said,
I'm seeing a theme. You make a crazy decision.
All these ideas happen on alcohol. Yes, sir. But anyway, I had this thought while I was sitting down having a drink, and I think I approached Ryan first, and I said something to Tony. I said, what do you think about asking Jared to collaborate with us on a bike to raise money for autism? And Ryan's like, well, the worst he could say is no, right? So I found a minute to pull Jared aside. We went outside, and we started talking a little bit, and I just kind of was like, Jared, I was like, I saw your bikes today. They're amazing. You do amazing work. Would you consider, because I learned that Jared's got a boy on the spectrum, and so do I. So we're both autism dads, and we've kind of chatted on the phone and texted here and there because, we kind of have that same thing in common. And I say, Jared, would you want to collaborate with us on a bike to build for an autism charity? And it didn't take a whole lot of convincing. And Jared knew he was going to have some time free soon after he got a build done that he was currently working on, which I think was 56. If you've seen his bike 56, but that's the bike he was working on at the time. And I think it was, I don't know, late last year, earlier this year, he really started going to work on it. But to continue the story, we got him to say yes, and we're like, oh shit, this is really going to happen. He didn't say no.
And we're like, what the hell did I just do?
Yeah, he didn't say no. So, we kept in touch with Jared, and after we all got back to our respective locations, we just started, talking about this, like, how are we going to do this? We need to get a bike. We need to figure out what we're going to build, what it's going to look like and all that. So I think the first thing we did was we put it out in our Discord. Let's do an NCAA bracket style elimination week to week. We'll report it on the show, and we'll let the Discord members what's the word I'm looking for? Decide the fate of the. Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm having a brain fart. So we're like, okay, great. So everybody, kind of chipped in their 2 cents on what they wanted to see, and every time Chopper was in a bracket, it just kicked the shit out of every other bike that was in the running, because everybody knew what Jared could do, with any type of a Triumph chopper or whatever. And he did a beautiful job on Hollywood Run. So, I was banking on something like Cholo, or, it's just something that was going to be kind of off the wall and different. But we're like, Chopper, like, okay, Chopper. All right. So we gotta get a bike at this point. So a little time goes by, and then I get a random text message, or actually just a DM on Facebook, because I'm blanketing everywhere. Does anybody have a cheap Sportster? Because we landed on a Sportster because it's the most cost effective Harley there is.
Yeah.
And I get a random DM on Facebook, and it was this gentleman that lives only about 3 or 4 hours north of me. His name is Fernando Palacios, and he wanted to donate his 75 Ironhead, totally stock, unmolested, that has been sitting in his garage for like 20 years. And he says, he's like, that bike hasn't been started forever. I don't know if it runs. I have no idea what type of shape it's in. I was like, okay, well, we'll take it if you really want to get rid of it. And he's like, yeah, take it, because we offered him money for it, and he wouldn't take it. He said, for that cause, he goes, I will donate the bike to the project. Damn. So it's the old AMF style tank logo that was on the original tins, and it was orange and kind of fugly, if you've seen before in pictures of it, we'll have to put those up on the website so you can see what this started as and what it's become. But Jared was like, okay, I guess, this is what I'm working with. I'll start doing some research. And like, we have to get the bike shipped to Tampa because it's in Chicagoland. So we finally get that done. And, while all that's being done, we did land on a charity, which we've had to change since, but we were in talks with one autism charity, but later on we finally landed on Autism Society of America to be the beneficiary of, the money that's brought in by this bike.
That's awesome.
Yep. And then back in March, after Jared got all his wrenching and stuff done, and I applaud him so much because he took this bike on not being a Harley guy.
Mm-hmm.
And just killing it. I mean, the guy he hit a home run for us. And what we thought we were just going to do a Sportster that ran, that somebody could, be an everyday rider with, it turned into a show bike. We're like, you know what? That's fine. I mean, it's a beautiful, beautiful motorcycle. And I'm just so happy with how it turned out. Getting to photograph it was a pleasure. Getting to ride it a little bit was a pleasure. And we unveiled it back in March of this year in Louisville at Bluegrass Harley Davidson. They generously gave us, some space in their dealership and let us unveil it there. We did it live on YouTube. And we've just had a tremendous, tremendous following since.
That's fantastic.
On how, all these people have bought tickets already. And, they're saying, thank you for doing this, because, a lot of people don't look at this as, as hard as they look at some other charities. And I'm like, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That there's other people that, want to help this cause.
Well,
it's been tremendous.
Yeah. And it's hard too, right? Because it's not, it's just not a sexy sell, right? It's one of those things, because for the folks that are listening or watching, I have a son with autism. Dustin does. Jarrett does. I mean, it's amazing to me how many people in this community are affected to that and sort of united by that. And it's just because I did that one video about autism, and I was surprised how many people reached out to me and were like, "Oh, I have a son with autism." Wait, really? Because it's amazing to me how so many of us are connected to that. Throttle Fiend has a son with autism. It's
yeah. Mm-hmm.
As a matter of fact, when the first day at my new job, my boss is like, "Oh, I have a child with autism." I'm like, really? Like everybody, it's amazing, because your statistics are what? It's like 1 in 5, is it? It's pretty high, I thought, with the autism.
It's not that common. A new 2023 study from 2020 data concluded 1 in 36.
1 in 36. Okay, so I'm way over, but yeah.
But I mean, a few years ago it was 1 in 60.
Yeah.
So the numbers keep increasing. I know they kind of threw in some other diagnoses into the spectrum, mm-hmm. so that really made the numbers go up, I think. And so many people are getting diagnosed now that may not have otherwise, unless somebody said something, or they're like, "Oh, you know what? I have some stuff going on that I'm hearing about all the time. Maybe I should go get checked out or whatever."
Yeah. Well, and it's like anything, right? If you bring attention to that cause, it helps a lot of people, and that's where I think what you guys are doing is fantastic. I mean, it puts it out there.
Well, I'm really hoping, because I didn't even get to tell this part of the story. We were on Cycle Source magazine on a live stream, and Chris Cowan, the CEO, the head guy over at Cycle Source, he brought up, you guys should do the Sportster that's in Jared Weems's painting with that Triumph that he built. And we're like, oh, that would be so awesome, because I love that painting. If you guys haven't seen it, check it out. It's Doggone Hot Dogs by David Mann. I think it was an 82 or 83 centerfold, and I can't remember the magazine. I don't think it was Easy Rider, or maybe it was. But anyway, that's what we settled on. And Jared's like, okay, let's make this happen. So we got a lot of people involved. Blockhead heard about it, and he wanted to help. So, Blockhead's done. Blockhead and Sick Wide Glide Chris, they've gotten their hands on the engine, mm-hmm. which was thankfully fairly clean for a 75 that sat for a long time. But yeah, just a little cleaning, a little coating, and all this stuff, and the engine looks brand new, just like it rolled off the line. There's even imperfections in it from the mold.
Oh, that's cool.
If you really look at the fins on the engine, you could see a lot of the imperfections that were in the mold. And, we got the original key too, which is cool. It's got AMF on it. Some people probably like, fuck AMF. Those were awful days.
Well, if Blockhead and Jared got a hold of it, there's nothing awful about that bike.
No, we've had some great sponsors like SNS, Lowbrow, TC Brothers, which them and Lowbrow, they don't, they never do anything together. Mm-hmm. They're competitive. They're big time competitors. So to have both of them wanting to help with this cause and build this bike with us is was pretty major to hear.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. Lots of other sponsors too. Throttle Addiction, Milkbone Customs, who did the painting. I can't forget that
That
guy.
painting's phenomenal.
Oh, he's such an awesome guy too, man. He's pushing that bike every time he sees a photo. He's sharing it. Just an awesome guy, and did an amazing paint job. I mean, pictures never do a bike paint justice.
Mm-hmm.
So seeing this bike in person is something you got to do before somebody wins it and takes it home, because it's, I don't know how many layers of blue are in it, and he threw in some pink to really mimic as close as he could, using his own imagination, and kind of like do what you want to do from
Mm-hmm.
Jared. How he made this bike come to life, because to me, paint's one of the things you notice most on a motorcycle,
Mm-hmm.
and he just knocked it out of the park. It turned out great. It's a good looking, it's a sharp, awesome running for a 75 motorcycle.
That's fantastic.
Yeah,
CJ, I don't know. Hold on, I got to see if I have the. I had the picture. Hold on one second. I was going to share it. Let me see if
I mean, Jared made this to match the painting. Now, you can only see about half to 3/4 of the bike in the painting, because there's a person standing in front of it, and the guy's got his leg over it too. So he just kind of had to use his imagination on the back half of the bike, and I think he knocked it out of the park. It looks sick.
That's phenomenal.
Yeah, one of the best chopper paint jobs I've ever seen.
Yeah, I mean, it's really cool that everyone has come together for that. So what is the Autism? It's Autism America Society, correct?
Autism Society of America.
Society of America. Yeah. So what do they do? What's their thing to this?
They do a lot like every other autism charity, kind of like Autism Speaks and stuff like that. So it's like everything goes toward, services are first, supports are first. Everything that families need is first. This isn't something that, a ton of it goes to research. You kind of want more of it to go to support and help families. And I mean, that's the whole reason we're doing this too, because I know firsthand there's a lot of people that can struggle.
Yeah.
You don't know what to do when you get a diagnosis, and it can be rough, especially in the beginning.
Yeah. And it's hard too, because like you said, it's sort of one of those, it takes a village. It's not a solution where it's like, boom, it's done. It's not solved.
It doesn't go away. It's lifelong. People, there's a lot of people that I had to educate that this isn't curable.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah.
And it's the same way with the build. I mean, the group of sponsors and, the people that have been tied to the show, whether they're a listener or a guest or whoever that have, helped with it, that's been our village.
Mm-hmm.
It really has.
Yeah. And I think I think it's great that you're bringing a cause to that, because, we've talked about this and I've talked to other people. It's hard too, because it's not curable. So it's a lifetime commitment, and those support services are ridiculously expensive, or not even expensive. Well, they're expensive, but it's even trying to locate those resources is hard.
Yeah. I mean, that's what Autism Society does is, they help people find resources and stuff like that can help them, in the early years, especially, because those are the most crucial ones. You want to get your loved one, child, whoever it is, as much help as early as possible, get that diagnosis, because it is important. There's some people they're just shy to take their kid. They don't want labels, and you can understand that. But when you're an adult and you're not the one with the autism, you got to think what's going to be best for them.
Sure.
I need to quit worrying about what people are going to think about a label and get my kid help.
Mm-hmm.
Most important.
Well, and it's interesting too, because you were saying, and it's the truth, right? You, I, and Jared have talked, and we have children of different ages on different parts of the spectrum, and people don't realize that. They don't realize how broad that spectrum is, because especially now when they've brought Asperger's into the spectrum, it made the spectrum even wider, and it's really hard for people to understand. It's not just it's not a straight.
Not everybody's Rain Man.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and that's, I think, the difficult part, is that people think that they don't see the disability, therefore it doesn't exist. And the reality of it is it's there. It's just, trying to get that help.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
That's really, so for people that have, we'll get more into the bike, but for people that are in your position and our position as parents, what do you think's the key? I mean, for you, what was the key to figuring, not, you're never going to figure it out completely, but what was the key to get there, or to start that journey?
Well, I mean, just assessing your kid, your kid better than anybody else. And when you see a problem or what you think might be a problem, don't turn down the idea to talk to somebody.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you think it's nothing, just going to talk to a professional or something and just say like, hey, do I have something going on here? And is this something we need to investigate further? Because as early as you can get that, like we said earlier, as early as you can get that diagnosis, you can put a plan into effect. And it's the most important part, is getting that diagnosis.
And
I mean, it's tough too.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's a conversation for another time, but it's yeah. And especially too, when you, depending on that moment that you come into that, it's different, right? If you have a smaller child, it's different. If you have an older child and they, for us, it was 17 or 18 before they figured it out. So it's different at every stage. And I think that's what makes it unique, but it also makes it really challenging, right? Because you and I can sit and talk, but we may not have the same experience.
Oh, so no, it won't be a same. Yeah, almost nothing we're going to say is going to be the same, but we know what we're going through.
Yeah, absolutely. And we all have sort of that different path to that. No, I think that's great that you guys are bringing that. So first off, we can wrap that up at the end, but so how do people support the cause? So you're raising money for autism. How can they help support that cause?
So if you go to the Five Dirty Bikers website, which is fivedirtybikers.com, we do have a raffle page created on that site that you can go to, and there are links to take you to the raffle site, which you can purchase a ticket for $25, and your name goes into the pin to be drawn at FDBM September 16th. So we still have a while to sell some tickets, and I'm hoping we sell a lot because we got a long way to go if we're going to beat that 56 Triumph that's in the picture.
What did that raise?
120,000.
Damn.
Yeah.
I had no idea it was that high.
Yeah, it was a lot.
Crap.
I mean, I'll be happy with, even what we've got right now.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's great that so many people wanted to already buy tickets, and we had some people buy a lot of tickets, man. I think a couple of them are in the chat here. I know Nomad Matt did.
Yeah. What a great dude. I met him.
Dude, he's awesome. He's been to our event twice or hung out with us a couple of times. Been to the event twice, or maybe it has been twice. But anyway, we've hung out at least 3 times.
Yeah.
Cool dude. I mean, everybody that we've gotten to meet through the podcast has been awesome. And we got people that come to the event, are coming to the event every year.
That's
awesome.
Awesome.
They keep coming back, and we just make memories every time. It's awesome.
Yeah, I met Matt at Dave's birthday party a few years back.
Mm.
I think it
was it at Starbucks.
No, it was at a I had.
Can you imagine if they had Starbucks birthday party just like they did McDonald's ones back in the 80s?
I was gonna say it was a croissant shop, but I can't come up with it fast enough where it sounded genuine. Oh shit! I think if I remember, Matt, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that was like he only had the ST for like a week or two, I believe, when he got it.
The Road Glide, yeah,
it's a beautiful bike.
Yeah, he didn't have it painted, I don't think, too long before we went out to Uranus for the first time.
Okay, I didn't know you had it painted. All right, see, so I'm learning something new today.
Yeah, it's got an orange to black fade in it.
Oh, very
comes up from the bottom. Yeah.
Oh, you mean Percy's, or you?
Oh, wait a minute, you're talking about Matt. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean that was before Dave became a bagger bro.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We should see him again at FDBM. Yeah, I hope so. He come out for the bike reveal too. He was one of those guys that came out. So
very nice.
Yeah, it was cool to see him there, and Matt helped unload the bike out of Jared's trailer. So Jared just said he needed a volunteer to help. Matt's like, fuck it, I'm getting in there and doing it.
That is awesome.
Yeah, didn't hesitate. Good dude.
So what happens if you win? Do you have to come pick it up? Do you ship it? Do you put it in the mail? Like, do you have to pay shipping? I'm joking. I'm just being fun.
I'm trying to think of what we decided for that, but I think.
Well, Mike from Anders Eastern Shore is convinced he's going to win it. So I don't know.
He won a lot of shit on our podcast, that's for sure. Him and Moto Mortician need to buy lotto tickets.
Yeah, that's right. Because he won the Custom Dynamics giveaway on mine too. He's a lucky bastard. I'm gonna see him in 2 weeks. I'm excited. He's a super cool dude. It's another one of Throttle. You're not winning that. Come on, man. You're not. You're too cool for that. Everybody's gonna win it, and then it's gonna be, what are you gonna do?
I get it on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and you get it on Wednesdays and Mondays.
Oh, you know what? That might be a good idea. You put it up on the bike share. You can rent out the chair.
Tony would have a stroke.
Well, there you go.
It's sitting in his garage right now, not a speck of dirt on it.
If I win, I'm gonna have to go through like a mud puddle and then send it to Tony and just watch him like have a meltdown.
Oh, he'll die.
Oh, I didn't see that mud puddle. Damn.
You will kill Tony. He'll have the hardest stroke from that.
I love the video. Which FDBM was it that you got that they were, or was it when he met up with you that he was riding in the water truck, sprayed his bike?
Oh, I was on my way from Illinois when that happened. So Percy, Ryan, and Tony, they went out to like map a ride.
Yeah.
What ride are we going to do for the meetup or whatever? And Tony took them in some backwoods roads. And man, that's one of the funniest videos I've ever seen, of moto vlogging. It's on Percy's channel too. But he goes through that concrete dust, and then some truck comes along and wets it all down, and that's the road they got to take, to get where they're going. This thing's all caked in concrete dust and water and everything. It's on the back of his helmet. It's all over the back of his bike. And I think he went to the car. They went right to the car wash.
That's funny.
There's just no way he was going to leave his bike like that. Not in a million years. If I took a picture of mine right now, the front end, he'd have a stroke.
Yeah. I struggle with that. I was looking at my pipes the other day and I'm like, man, I gotta clean these at some point.
Yeah.
It's hard though, because like you said, if you ride to work, I mean, if you're commuting to work, it's gonna get dirty. There's just no way around it,
So we got some gnarly bugs here in Illinois too.
Yeah, or it rains in the middle of the day, or it just happens. There's just nothing you can do.
Yeah.
So what? So you're gonna do the drawing at? So it's not at FDBM though. It's during FDBM, but you're gonna do it off site.
Correct.
Okay.
For legal reasons, we have to do it that way. I think Jared is gonna pull the number from Florida.
Okay. So
we're gonna like live stream the whole thing and get Jared in live via satellite and kind of do that whole thing where he draws the winner.
Oh,
him and Austin.
Yeah, that would really be cool.
And it was so cool to meet Austin too, because I brought my family. So Austin and my boy got to unveil the bike at the unveiling back in March. So that was one of the coolest things for me to see that weekend. Besides the bike itself, of course.
Yeah. Well, and it's cool too, right? Because the boys are there. Again, it's putting a face to it. They can see what the community's done. I think that's fantastic, because I think everything obviously has its ups and its downs, but I think it's great for kids in that community to see that. It's a sense of normalcy for them too, because if you're not familiar, most kids aren't that sociable that are on the spectrum. So it's kind of cool to get him out there, because it's a lot too, right? He's definitely out of his comfort zone, which is always cool. So,
Brian, can I ask what with your boy, what are like some of the challenges that he's got to face?
I think for him it was hard because he was old enough to understand it. So he kind of had to go through the same experience that we went through. It was sort of that grieving period.
Yeah. The
thing that I've heard people say is it's almost like your child dies. It's you have to come to the realization that it's not going to be what you think it's going to be. And I don't mean that like in a it's overwhelming, because at least for us, it was trying to process, what does the next road look like? You know what I mean? But I mean, we've been very fortunate. He was able to get a car. He was able to learn how to drive. He's held a job. I mean, there's a lot of difficulties, but for us, being high functioning has been, I think, more of a challenge in resources, because it's, how do I say it? Not to trivialize it, but it's sort of left of center. It's not, if you're way on the spectrum, I feel like there's resources, but if you're not, I feel like the resources, at least in our experience, really trying to go to the low hanging fruit. They want to go to where the easiest win is, rather than trying to take it on. And I don't know if you've seen it, but we've seen that a lot with doctors too. Everyone's a specialist until you need them. And then it's like, oh no.
Believe me, we've seen our fair share of specialists for our kids.
Yeah. And it's hard, right? Because everyone has that, it's hard. I mean, especially I think when you find it later in life, it's hard because it's a much harder adjustment, at least for us. It's not saying anyone else's case is better or worse, but for us, it was difficult. And then it sort of gets to the what's next, because you don't really have a lot of time, right? When you're 17, it's different than if you're 3, right? Because at 3, you have more time to sort of build that foundation.
Which I'm glad we did, because our boy was at it was about a year we started noticing a change in him. And then he was lining his toys up like in a row, and he wouldn't look at us when we called his name. He wasn't making eye contact. He was just like in his own little world, And man, I just started. I kind of asked Jackie, I was like, "Do you think something's going on with him?" I mean, we're first time parents at this point, so we don't know. We don't know right from left with kids, especially one so young. We're parents for the first time with him. So, a little time went on, and we just kind of noticed things weren't getting better. And so we talked to our doctor. He referred us to hearing specialist. Like, oh, maybe there's something wrong with his hearing or whatever. And then we tried everything else, and then I just started doing a Google search one day, playing WebMD, and I just kind of was typing in, everything that he's doing, and we landed on autism, and I was like, okay. So I started reading a little bit about this, and I'm like, okay, I think this is probably what's going on. So with that, we actually went and saw some other doctors, got that diagnosis, and they're he's mild to moderate, so he's like in the middle, So we knew we had some work to do. I know what you said earlier about it kind of be like a grieving period. It couldn't be truer, man. I mean, you're still going to have fun with your children, but at the same time, something kind of leaves when you hear those words from somebody telling you, it's like, this is something your kid's going to have for the rest of his life.
Yeah.
So, okay. I'm like, okay, so we got a plan B. We got a plan B life now. And I'm glad we got it done so early, because we've gotten to get him all the help he needed early on. Therapists at the house 3 times a week, taking him to therapy, an hour away, and all this stuff. But in the end, it pays off.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that he's, made all the progress he has, because he's such a bright kid.
He's such a cute kid too. He's such an awesome little kid.
Yeah. But like I said, early diagnosis is so important. And I hope with what we're doing with this bike, kind of helps, that second step, where do I go? Who do I talk to? Where can I go that's safe for my kid and all that stuff? And, it's great. There's so many organizations like ASA out there that are, worldwide. Well, I shouldn't say worldwide, but countrywide, that have places all over that are able to help, because there's so many locations. I'm glad where the money's going, because we were really picky about. I should say I was really picky about where it was going to go. Want to make sure the money was going to do the most for families it absolutely could.
And what I think too is good about this is even if, and I would hope that, it's not a big lift to buy a $25 ticket, but I'm right on the price, right? I'm not off, right?
No, you're good. You're good.
I think with that, it's sort of like with doing the videos that I've tried to do with mental health and stuff. I think it becomes one of those things that if it's no longer uncomfortable to talk about, people will be willing to have that conversation, right? Because they hear your story, or even if they're just like, oh, they're doing a fundraiser for autism, and it brings up a conversation. It brings you an opportunity to have that conversation, right? Because in that, if one person even reaches out to you and like, hey, I'm having these issues, from experience, right? You know that path.
Yeah, I've had a couple people reach out to me. Yeah, I've had somebody here in town whose daughter was doing kind of the same things, and they got their diagnosis for their daughter, and he called me up on the phone to talk to me for an hour.
Yeah.
And he was just like, what can I expect? All this stuff. And I can't say all advice is the best advice, because like we said, it's a spectrum. Not every kid's the same with what they have challenges with and what they're good and bad at, but it could still, even just having somebody to talk to is worth its weight in gold. And that's pretty much what we did for an hour. And I was just glad that we could, I could help him out a little bit, even if it was just talking to him.
Yeah. And because you've been in that position. And I would say, at least for us, I mean, getting back to what you said, it was hard because you talk to therapists, you talk to psychiatrists, you talk to people, and some of those just don't have the capacity to break it down. You know, some people will be like, and especially at an older point, it's like, all right, well, so what? I'm not discounting it, but what's the plan, right? Because you can't give up, but so you have to, some people will look at it and be like, okay, well, if you're not incapable, then you have to figure out a different path to say than if you were completely incapable.
Yeah, and that's a totally different path from what the next person whose child's going through it is taken. So it doesn't come with an instruction manual, that's for sure. I mean, just all kids don't, but I mean, it's almost like sometimes you felt like you need one, especially early on.
Yeah, I mean, you were saying about our path. When our son was diagnosed, I remember finding this doctor, because I mean, I don't know if people realize this, but I want to say the test without insurance is like $15,000 or $1,500 or $3,000. It's expensive. It's not like something you're gonna, if your healthcare provider doesn't provide that support, it's difficult. And I can remember talking to the doctor on the phone, not meeting, our son, nothing. It was a complete cold call. And the doctor's like, tell me about this. What does this look like? What does that look like? And it was that moment of like, okay, I'm not batshit crazy. You know what I mean? Like, they're like, because right away when they were asking those things, it's like you said with Google, it was like, there was an answer. It wasn't, I didn't even have to think about it. And I was like, wait, how come that you're coming up with this so fast and everybody else was just sort of discounting it? Because I know as he got very close to graduation and we went for the diagnosis, as soon as the school found that out, they were like, we're out. They wanted nothing to do with the situation. It's a shame because, that's your education system, right? Those are the people that should have rallied around it, and they just wanted nothing to do with it. It was like, oh.
Yeah, but we're lucky, though. Like, our son's at a great program at school, and he's had the same teacher for several years now. And they've just done so well with him with his therapy at school, and then just how well that he does in school, period. And he's a special kid, man. And I just don't mean that because he's my kid, but he really is.
Well, and I think too that a lot of times people don't see the advantages of that. Like, if you can lock your kid into something they're interested in, they won't be able to absorb enough information.
My son can recite to me the Russian alphabet.
That's what I'm saying. It's one of those things where you're like, okay, and we joke, and I hope people understand the comic relief of it, but people attach it to the Rain Man thing, but it's like, yeah, but when you think about that, if you can recall stuff and you can harness that, that's impressive. But you got to get there too.
Yep.
It's like anything, right? You can make a deficit a positive for sure. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's just one of the things that keeps us going is seeing him progress the way he has, and I just can't wait to see what he does when he's grown up.
That's awesome. That's such a positive attitude to have.
Yeah, I mean, we don't know if he's going to be independent or not right now, but we're just hoping. Trying to keep positive about it's the important thing.
I mean, I know for us, if I would stop and think, which it's hard to do as a parent, but if you stop and you think about that moment and where you were at to where you are now, it's pretty impressive. Like, I mean, he went and got a car. He totaled that car, went and bought the second car completely on his own credit. Do you know what I mean? But if you would have told me that when he was 17, I'd be like, yeah, right. Like, okay. But putting that work in, it's amazing. If you're willing to put the work in with your children, it's a great thing.
Hard work pays off, and they'll surprise you every time.
Yeah. So the takeaway I think from that is, if you think something, just don't give up. I mean, there's, not every resource is a good resource, unfortunately. People will just tell you things to tell you things.
There was a comment up and I think it was by Throttle Fiend again, and I can't
This one?
remember. It may have been up quite a ways. I love how he's chiming in because he knows what we're going through too, on some level, of course, because like we said, they're all different. But
yeah, and I mean, and that's the thing that I think is difficult. Everybody's journey is different, and although we can all relate to it, we can't necessarily relate verbatim. And
this comment was typed at 7:56 p.m. and it's something I wanted to touch on if we could, because
your time. Yeah, absolutely. Hold on. I'm trying to find it. What the hell? The one about not only is it scary as fuck.
Yeah, this one, because this is something that
100%.
I think about every day. Of course, we don't live forever. We're going to outlive our kids by the way the order of the way things should be. We should outlive our kids, but what's going to happen? What's going to happen to our kids when we're gone?
Yeah.
So you got to prepare for that, and it's scary because I'm not afraid of dying, but that scares me more than dying.
Sure.
Just knowing that, not only him, but my younger son too, because I can't imagine how people that do pass feel when they know they're leaving their kids. It's just,
yeah,
that's the only real scary part about it to me now.
Well, and that's the hard part too, right? Because you have to, not only do you have to come to grasp with your own mortality, but you have to come to grasp with the fact that no matter how hard it is, it's inevitable. Time is finite, and you have to prepare your children for that, even if they're not on the spectrum. You have to prepare them for life. But like you said, it's harder too, because when you're in that situation, there's that constant reminder that, at some point somebody has to take over, and hopefully that's them. And even if it's not till you're 40, right? At least it's happening. Because you have to readjust your expectations, but at the same time, you can't. At least for us, you can't just say, "Well, I don't know." You know what I mean? Because we're in that part of the spectrum where you can hold a job, you can drive, but a lot of things are a challenge, right? You're not going to be. You may not achieve this, but you certainly can achieve this, and you have to constantly reassess your expectations. But then, like you said, you have to have a plan too.
Yeah. So like I said, with our son's progress, like our expectations change, every year. Like, oh my God, he's doing so much better than he was last year. His speech is so much better than it was last year. And there was a time he didn't talk.
Mm-hmm.
And then we finally started hearing him talk again. It was like a blessing. And then now, we can have full on conversations with him. And I'm like, buddy, just keep on talking, because this is awesome. You're doing so well.
Yeah. And, and sometimes too, I think that once you take that, once you try and normalize it, if that's even the right word that I'm looking for, but you can make progress. You know what I mean? You can, because it's very hard when you're in this situation to see where you've been. It's much like making the parallel of riding, right? If you started out and told somebody, oh, well, you're going to do X, you don't see it, right? You see it from the beginning. You don't realize the beginning of that experience and what that was like. It's very hard to look back on and be like, oh, that's right. I remember when I was scared shitless to do 30 miles. And now you're just like, hold my beer, let's go.
Yeah.
And, it's a journey. It's a difficult journey. And I really appreciate you sharing your story with us, because I think that it's hard, right? It's not something people want to talk about, but I think it's something we need to talk about. We need to normalize that conversation.
Yeah. Because another part of this build was to build awareness. So I hope that we're doing that, in some capacity.
No, absolutely. So as we go to wrap up, so where can people so let's talk about you, right? Your social media, the FDB social media, and then how can people support this great cause?
Okay, so if you're looking for me on social, I'm DTHACKSG, so that's DThackSG on Instagram. I think, my D.
Yeah, I'll put links up too.
Yeah. So my YouTube channel was D-Cycle, and I haven't really committed much time and energy to that at all in the last couple of years, but I still have content up. So if anybody wants to watch that, if you watch anything, please watch the Route 66 video of the drive-in. That's all I ask. You don't have to watch anything else, because that was a series that I'm still thinking about kicking back off, because I felt like I was kicking myself in the ass after I stopped the channel. And I think part of it was because that video, I mean, it did straight shit. I still don't think it has that many views, but that was everything I had with everything I had to do it with at the time. I mean, it was everything. And it was over 2 weeks of work alone, and then the editing. But even though it didn't do as well as I thought it would, it's still I feel is my best accomplishment as a YouTuber, was making that video. It was a fun video to make, and it's just all stuff right in my backyard, so it's something I can speak on.
Yeah, and I think that's really good too, because sometimes the achievement's just doing it, right? You know, sometimes you did it for you, and you hope that, and you don't know how that's going to land. You never do, right? You can do something.
It's always the dumbest videos that take off, and you're like, why the shit is this one doing so well? And then this other one I worked 2 weeks on, flopped like a pack of flapjacks.
Or you spend all the money on gear and you do all this stuff, and then you watch a video and you're like, this thing's out of focus. It makes no sense, and it's got gazillions of views. And you're like, what am I doing wrong?
Yeah. Well, that's just the demon of YouTube, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's gotten any better or not, but I just watch it anymore.
Yeah, it's still weird, but it is what it is, right? I think like anything, sometimes it's better doing it for you and let everything else fall where it'll fall,
Yeah.
So you can go to the 5 Dirty Bikers. You need to check their podcast. You're on all major platforms, correct?
Yeah, everything that's out there for podcasts, we're on. 5dirtybikers.com. That's where you can go and buy tickets for the Autism build. Oh, excuse me. Got the burps. And 5 Dirty Bikers is on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. We're not much of the TikTokers. So. Yeah. We don't really post a whole bunch up there. I mean, I was pretty strong at it for a while with just getting like little like video cuts of the podcast, but I'm like, I'm spending too much time watching this goofy ass shit, and I'm not doing enough time posted to it. It's a rabbit hole.
And that's the problem with social media, right? For you to learn it and engage to it, you need to be in it, but then it sucks all your time away and your creativity because you don't feel like doing it.
No.
It's weird for sure. So the other thing I was thinking about this on the drive home the other day. The other thing I want to say too, and I understand not everybody has, 100 hours, 25 hours even to throw into this. I would say even if you can or can't buy a ticket, share the hell out of it. You know what I mean? Because it brings awareness to what Dustin and the crew is doing, but I think it also it's free, right? It's like your Discord, right? It's fucking free. You can share it. You can, if one person sees that and it helps one person, I would argue that's probably worth it, and share it. And if you can't be involved, then share it and share it again. And if you can be involved, I think it's a great cause. But I think getting the normalcy out there and keeping it in the conversation is the win. I mean, the money is huge, and I'm not discounting that at all. But I think that, the awareness is really huge, because it's like you said, if you get one person that reaches out to you, then you've left the world a better place. And I think that's important. I think it's really important that we do that. And that's awesome. So I will put the links up. I'll put the links to all the 530 Biker stuff up. We'll put a link to the raffle. And if Throttle Fiend or somebody wins it, they're gonna have to come on and tell us all about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. First impressions. There you go. I can't believe I won. I can't believe I almost died on the Jared Weems charity bike. See, there it is. There's the title. There you go. Almost died. Yeah. There's a thumbnail. Millions of views.
Yeah.
Nailed it.
Yeah. Bodine's gonna win it, and then we'll just have him do like a clickbait thumbnail. It'll work.
No, it'd be cool if somebody awesome we knew won it.
Yeah, it would be, because it would be really cool content. it would be cool because you would be able to see it. That's always the thing that bothers me with it's like watching Barrett Jackson. You see these really cool vehicles, and then it's just going into some guy's collection. It'll never see the light of day. I think it'd be really cool to see somebody win it and put it in a museum or something, somewhere people could enjoy it.
So I'd love to reenact the photo or the painting.
That would be cool
out in Los Angeles, because Jared he had a meal out there at that hot dog stand out in LA, and I think it would be really cool if we got the bike out there, both bikes actually. Can we borrow the 56 Triumph for a weekend and take it out to LA and just reenact that whole thing?
That'd be really
just
cool.
Kim Moto is going to have to be one of the girls, with the wieners in her hand.
Oh, I mean, for Kim, I don't think that's an uncomfortable place. It's a place she lives in. So.
He just needs a little more cleavage.
That's the key to YouTube. It's all cleavage.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny. Well, Justin, I really appreciate it. I appreciate you hanging out, and I appreciate you giving.
Desiree, there's one thing you got to realize.
What's that?
No, wait a minute. I read that wrong. Never mind. Never mind.
Oh, that's too funny. Well, guys, thank you so much for hanging out. And like I said, it's a great cause. It's it's something that I think you guys should be. Dustin, you should certainly be very proud of yourself for what you've done. I know even before this, you've done a lot to raise money, and I think that's great.
Well, I mean, it's one of the things we live for, and I just hope we can make a difference with this thing. That's what it's all about.
Yeah, it certainly is. Well, guys, thank you so much for hanging out. Dustin, you want to hang out for me, talk for a bit. But, the takeaway from this is not only, if you can afford to buy tickets, please do so. If not, even if you do, share the hell out of it. Let's put this and keep this subject going. I think it's important. And, I know there's a lot of us in the community that are affected by this. And, as Dustin said, if you are, reach out. I mean, there's enough people that are willing to talk to you. You're not alone in that struggle. So
yeah, we're two of those people.
Yep, we are the village. So that's awesome. Well, guys, thank you so much for hanging out, and we will see you next week. Road Reality is going to be on next week, so it'll be a good show. Thanks, everyone. Enjoy your Wednesday, and please remember you're not alone. Thanks, guys.
See ya.